like to ask each of our panelists this question and then see if we have any more questions from the audience. We're going to be out of time in about 7 or 8 minutes. Predictions within the next 5 years, starting with Jeff, in terms of the intersection between venture funding and M2M companies and whatever guys they're coming in, be they a telematics play or be they a company that isn't even aware that it's doing M2M deployments, but actually is. Do we see more of an interest, more venture money flowing into this, or do you think it'll remain where it is? Are we looking at a growth strategy here?
I love making the 5 year. Can I make it 10?
You can make it 1 if you want.
Nothing happens in 5 years, but I can remember when I was in high school, a friend of mine went to work for a guy named Nolan Bushnell, and I used to go out to the Slack to the Homebrew Computer Club, and I remember when a couple of guys came out there and they ended up going to Rockwell Computer to try to figure out how a $200 8-bit microprocessor could be sold to them for $10, and they ended up creating the Apple I. And Nolan Bushnell, I remember we were trying to work with the 6800 microprocessor, making little sprites go across the screen, and thinking that if this microprocessor would only work at 1 megahertz, the thing would actually go off the screen and we could have a video game that people would enjoy. And my belief is in this particular market that that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, and that is that think about it, just your mind will explode if you just take things and change them by one order of magnitude. So take a module that's currently $22 and make it $2.20. Okay? Take a network where you're currently paying $2 for 5 meg, and all of a sudden you're paying $2 for 50 meg. Okay? And then take an application which normally took you maybe a couple of months to develop, and now you can do it in a day. And then take this particular market with the device, the network, and the application, put all these three things together relative to a 5 or 10 year horizon, and think what that will do relative to the expansion of the marketplace, of the opportunities to be able to create these kinds of efficiencies.
I agree with you, Jeff. The cost of the network has come way down. The equipment is getting commoditized. So you've got the fundamental building blocks there. We followed the industry for a number of years, and we look at industries generally along an S curve, a penetration curve, and we've seen this one has been kind of split. We're in an early adoption phase with some verticals, be it fleet management, or in a later adoption phase. We think that we're at that tipping point, and customers are starting to buy this. They're starting to understand the value proposition. It actually, the income statements of your companies make sense now, because you can match your revenues and expenses with the expenses falling. That these are real businesses, and I think that many of them will be funded in the next 5 to 10 years.
Some careful on predictions. I remember that there was a famous quote by Mao Zedong back in 54 or 55. He was asked at some sort of gathering, he said, what do you think has been the effect of the French Revolution on world history? And, he looked around for a couple of minutes and he said, it's a little too soon to tell.
Phil Kissinger, that.
Great. Is it wonderful quote? And, I think if so the 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it has to be. What we're seeing is segment growth, and I think ultimately funding is going to go into segments which are starting to mature, have understandable value propositions. It's all being fueled by the fact that, Jeff's point, everything is coming down to a point where price is enabling capabilities that were unseen. It's not just price; it's form factors. Its size, its power, battery management, lots and lots of things which were not there even as little as 2-3 years ago. So tremendous number of changes taking place. So the notion of the sensor in any device where you positively want to be able to gather data from, is coming for real. Whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're just going to have to find what the economic model is going to be right for the segment which you thoroughly understand. There's no substitute for a thorough understanding.
And again, more under the theme of, we're just looking for smart companies that are going after near-term, opportunities. What are the pain points that need to be solved in a particular industry or vertical where one can use M2M sensor, wireless sensor, embedded connectivity communications to solve a customer's pain points, to reduce their operating costs or bring them new sources of revenue? So I think in the industries that I invest in, energy, clean tech, water, materials, things like that, there will be ample opportunities to use M2M devices and technologies to deliver increased data, intelligence, and controls to customers. But I think what entrepreneurs need to think about when starting companies is, what's the immediate pain point that I am solving, or the value proposition has to be really felt in the near term to the customer. So to me, I think that there's going to be, in the 5 to 10 years, I can say broadly, lots of opportunities. Which opportunities to prioritize comes down to, an immediate economic benefit to the customer.
Just one final point as well. I think too many people are finding easy ways into marketplaces. Ultimately, if you're an investor, and I'm an investor as well as a participant in the company that I'm currently with, I'm interested also in what the barriers to entry are. And we haven't talked about that at all in the panel here. And you need to understand, if you're building solutions, what are the competitive barriers to entry that you can erect around your particular solution.
Any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
Hypothetical. If the chemical folks had come to you looking for money as an internal application, would you have funded that?
Question was, if Kindle had come to you looking for money as an M2M application, would anybody on this panel or in this room have funded it?
Not in our space, not in our.
That's a no over here.
Because it's not clean tech. Well, I guess you could maybe stretch it.
We would have definitely looked at it and spent a fair amount of time on it. And I don't know if we would have funded it or not, and I'm not sure even if they're making money on it beyond the cost of the equipment. Like, we would definitely look at it, yeah.
I mean, it's one of the, you to put numbers on it, it's one of the largest, and I'll qualify it as an M2M application. One of the largest deployments happening. Would it meet your criteria as
Well, what it lacks for us is, it's not it's a one-time equipment sale, and then it's buying books. But I think we would find a way to fit it into a model. I've got one in my bag right now, and I think it's the greatest product ever. We would definitely spend time on it.